The Tigers offense continues to struggle, and unfortunately, timing-wise, they go up against Paul Skenes. Did not work out very well. We'll talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. The Detroit Tigers get shut out by the Pittsburgh Pirates and lose 3-0. Pittsburgh improves to 40-61 on the season. Detroit now losers in 7 of their last 8 ball games. 1-7 in your last 8. Not very inspiring baseball. Their record falls to 60-41 still, despite that skid, the most wins in Major League Baseball. First thought, when it rains, it pours, was kind of my first thought here. This was just the worst timed thing ever. Okay? In a vacuum, just looking at these 9 innings, and there's no other context surrounding it, I'm really not heartbroken over this loss. Skenes has a 1.9 ERA, dude, and does this to pretty much, not even pretty much, to everybody he faces. I also acknowledge that there is context in the moment, and there is context surrounding, right, this ball game. The Tigers offense has been struggling mightily, and it is frustrating to see that continue to snowball and reach as, I don't know, just reach the stretch that it has, reach the heights, well, I guess the depths in this case that it has. It's just that facing Skenes is like pouring gasoline on a metaphorical fire of offensive struggles. Okay, if you can follow me as we navigate through that analogy, but just go win the next 2 ball games. Okay, you are the better team. You are a much better team. The Pirates are that lineup is an atrocity. Okay, go win the next 2 games. This was always going to be an uphill battle. It just sucks that it was game 1, right? Like if this was game 3 and the Tigers were up 2-0 in the 3-game series, you'd be like, all right, you know. But we don't know what the next 2 games hold. So this is all we have. And unfortunately, in the last 8 games, the offense has not been very good. They faced a lot of good pitching in that stretch, if you are trying to be like optimistic about it, but you still got to hit good pitching too. So we'll start with what went wrong. The offense. No surprise to anybody. Honestly, the only reason this is first is just to kind of like get it out of the way. I just want to like have this conversation. We can get to the bottom of it, and then we can just move on with our lives. Riley Greene goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. In the last 15 games, he is batting 164 with 25 strikeouts. Now, it's funny. You can tell how streaky of a hitter he is because his numbers in the last 7 games are actually not that bad. So it's just, it goes to the aggressive peaks and valleys that he goes through as a hitter. And yeah, he's in a slump right now. And, you know, and hopefully sooner rather than later, he'll break out of that. And then he'll have, you know, a 2000 OPS or whatever. And then Like we just desperately need more consistency. And the reason why I feel it's fair to bring that up, especially in moments like this, is because when your offense is sliding, when the offense is really just completely drowning at the present moment, you need to rely on your hitters, but best hitter to get you out of there. Brian and I talk about it on Locked On Wings all the time, right? Like before DeBrincat had his really good season, the question was like, okay, when you're going through a scoring drought, who's going to be the guy that's just going to put the puck in the back of the net? Same thing in baseball in this context, right? The offense is struggling. Who's going to be the guy that you are going to lean on to provide any amount of offense when the rest of the offense is all struggling at the same time? You'd like that to be Riley Greene, who before this slump had an OPS that was pushing 900. Now it's down to 860. He's still the best hitter on the team. He's still really good, et cetera, et cetera. All the things I always say. But these moments and his strikeout rate certainly go hand in hand with each other. And they get kind of highlighted and exemplified in moments like this and in stretches that the team is going through like this one. Certainly not a bad night for the Tigers just because of Riley Greene. However, Trey Sweeney struggles again. I don't know why I went immediately to the 9-hitter, but like Zach McKinstry, Ofer, just really didn't seem to be able to string anything together either, which, again, it's really hard to get any base runners off of Paul Skenes. Nonetheless, 2, 3, 4 in a row. And he just doesn't give up homers. So it's difficult, and it was an uphill battle. And as bad as the Pirates are, they have Skenes, and then they have 2 really good relievers. And so that was that. That's really as simple as it was. The Sweeney conversation, I only bring up and find interesting because I feel like the motivation to bring in another bat is obviously to, raise the floor of the offense and have less games that look like the last, week and a half has looked for the Tigers. But it also inherently, like it improves your depth because it moves everybody down. And I think there might even be some motivation to bring in a bat just from the sheer fact of like, okay, if we bring in someone else, then maybe Trey Sweeney is not getting 4 at-bats a night. Like it's been to that point. He's hitting 209 with a 577 OPS. He has almost identical numbers against righties and lefties. He swings and misses a lot. He doesn't draw a lot of walks. Like it just is what it is. And he's still, relatively young. Like he can still go make adjustments. I'm not trying to like slander the man, but when you're trying to put the best 26 guys out there on the field and in the clubhouse every night, I think that might be some added incentive to go out and get a bat, get a big bat at the deadline. What else went wrong in this game? Defense, not very good. Not that it was, terrible or that they had a ton of errors or anything, but man, the outfield defense, there was a ball that I thought Parker could have had like in a perfect world that he didn't get coming in towards, the infield, kind of in the, 6th or 7th inning, maybe. And then Zach McKinstry to those 2 balls to right. Now, obviously the outfield has shifted a little bit, but at the same time, man, not getting to either of those, I'm not, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like asking the world, and it's just again like when it's raining, it's pouring. Just watching it, it really felt like one of those maybe should have been brought in, especially off the bat. The second one I thought was definitely going to be a fly out, and maybe that's what Flaherty was mad at. I don't know. I'm recording this right after the game. I don't know if he was asked about that or what, but it was an interesting moment in the game. You don't see pitchers usually do that when they still have pitching left to do. Usually that's like, okay, I got pulled or the game's over or a really, big thing happened at the end of an inning or whatever. Like doing that and then like out of frustration clearly and then having to go back out there. I don't know. I couldn't tell what he said. There was some speculation that it maybe was because the ball was falling in the outfield, and I have no clue. Not here to speculate, just saying, I guess maybe I was kind of technically speculating there. I'm not intending to speculate. It was kind of interesting that in that inning, he was clearly very frustrated coming off the mound. So we'll see if we can find out what he was mad about. Let's talk about Jack Flaherty. What an accidental great transition. Okay, we'll do that right after this. First, though, got to talk to y'all about our friends over at FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the action and get in on any game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions, fun ways to bet, etc. It's really easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like they're must-watch events. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Again, $5 can get you $150 in bonus bets if that bet wins. FanDuel.com to get started. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day, and we will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping Game 2 against the Pirates, hopefully recapping a win as well. We'll talk about some exciting news involving Game 3 as well at the end of today's show. First, though, going to talk a little bit more about this 3-0 shutout loss at PNC Park. Let's talk Jack Flaherty. 3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 4.77 ERA on the season. In the top 15, maybe even closer to like top 10 at this point, highest ERAs amongst qualified starting pitchers. So that is certainly not having a great year, as has been well documented on this show and throughout the fan base in general. The curveball I thought was really good in this game, and he was able to use it to lefties, and I think it worked wonderfully when he was doing that. I also think the first inning was actually really good. It was kind of BABIP-y, the runner or runners that even did get on base, but he was getting a lot of swing and miss. The fastball looked really lively. I thought he had a great first inning. Like legitimately one of the best innings I've seen from him lately. The second inning, obviously, is where 100% of the runs for both teams in this game were scored. And it was a complete train wreck. And say what you will about the defense. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on there. I don't care if you're like McKinstry should add both of those or like, no, there's no way he could have gotten to those. You know, those were always going to be hits. Either way, Flaherty's approach with 2 strikes was diabolical. Like that. And I'm sure clearly was just as frustrated on the mound, probably way more frustrated than we were watching it. But he had so much, it felt like all of the damage against him in this game was with 2 strikes. And like constant, like, okay, he gets 2 strikes, and then next thing you know, you blink and it's 2-2 or 3-2. It's like, okay, well, now he kind of has to go into the zone. He doesn't have an overpowering fastball. He can throw the slider again, but then if he misses, then it's another ball out of the zone. And that's why he had 3 walks in 3 innings. Just 9 base runners and 3 runs in 3 innings is unreal. And he gets pulled after 3. He threw dang near 80 pitches. Like he got a full workload. It wasn't as if, it was, he's just really struggling or whatever. Like, got to get him out of there. Certainly he was, and that was obviously a factor. But he also had like a close to a full start's worth of, bullets that he used. So Very frustrating outing. Again, I'm sure it was for him as well. I'm not trying to take that, or make it sound like it wasn't, but I mean, golly, it just felt like every single time he got into a 2-strike count, he just could not finish any of the hitters off. Like he could not finish any of those at bats. And really, the only pitch that was consistently getting swing and miss was the curveball. So if you can spit on that, you were kind of just good. The fastball didn't have a ton of whiffs. Man, frustrating year for him for sure. And I'll tell you what, you look at what the Tigers have been doing lately. They're certainly, we focus on the offense and we should. They are going to need him to pitch a lot more like he did last year. Okay, let's talk about what went right in a shutout loss. It's slim. It's slim. Okay, it's not a wide variety to choose from here, but we will do so anyway. Dylan Dingler, I thought, was really solid defensively. He actually did get on base twice. I guess just wore a like 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Paul Skenes in the arm. That was kind of baller. Man, catchers are just the best, dude. Like, they're just so cool. You're so tough. You're so tough, bro. But yeah, like I thought was really solid defensively and has been really solid defensively all year. Obviously, the Rangers moment there that allowed a run was certainly a little bit of I don't know, off brand, but even that wasn't like he misplayed it horribly or anything, just took a really bad bounce. So nice to see him catch a runner stealing, keep everybody in front of him, get on base twice, one being a hit. I thought that he just had a really solid day at the office. And then the bullpen. For as much as we are begging this front office to get relievers and get bullpen help, get arm barn help, if you will. Lately, and it's really unfortunate that this is happening at the exact same time as the offense completely falling apart, but lately the bullpen has actually been pretty solid. And in this ball game, they threw shutout ball. Now, again, the Pirates are a horrible offense. That is very, very true. Dietrich Enns goes 2 2/3, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 3 strikeouts. His ERA is now sub 4. He's got a 3.94 on the season. I mean, there's a real chance that he is the roster casualty when Troy Melton gets officially added to the 40-man roster and then the major league roster on Wednesday. But we'll see. I mean, again, like a lefty with a sub 4, he's really only had the one terrible outing. And outside of that, he's actually been pretty solid. Now, his relief appearances have been pretty low leverage. And I think that that's worth pointing out as well. The thing that I just appreciate about Dietrich Enns is the fact that he throws a like 92 to 93 mile an hour fastball, but doesn't shy away from throwing it up in the zone. And he's going to get tagged sometimes, man. Like that, obviously, we've seen him get hit hard. But like that is so important for a major league pitcher. And having a guy that can throw from the left side and do that, I don't know what the future, holds in terms of his role in this organization, but I really do appreciate the way he pitches. It's a very fear no one type of presence on the mound, I think. And that fastball up is really effective for him when he gets it as high up as he wants it. So effective in this one. Then Chase Lee goes 1 1/3 of perfect baseball with a strikeout. His ERA down to 3.51. Yeah, I mean, this was just the sinker looking better than it has in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that's awesome. I'm a huge fan of Chase Lee. I've made that pretty well known, and I think, over an inning of work, he can be kind of that righty specialist that they will need down the stretch and in the postseason. So, I'm glad to see him have kind of a bounce back performance like this one. And then we get to Tommy Kahnle. Tommy Kahnle, 1 inning of perfect baseball with 2 strikeouts. The ERA goes down to 4.73. It was at like 4.85 going into the outing. So the thing with this performance was you just saw him mixing the fastball a lot more. And that was always gonna kind of have to be in the cards given how much he struggled lately, right? You kind of needed him to throw the fastball a little bit more. And to be fair to him, like I actually thought he was really effective in this one doing so. Another guy that threw high fastballs, threw low fastballs, threw low changeups. If you can do those three things, you can be at worst like a solid middle relief pitcher in this league, assuming they're located where you want them to. So I think that this was a nice bounce back outing, and we'll see how he continues to kind of mix it up going forward. There was still some really not great commanded changeups. There was a couple that were, when I say right down the middle, I mean could not have actually physically been more right down the middle than they were, but they were just taken because Pittsburgh Pirates. So we'll see. We'll see. But is attempting to make adjustments, which I think at a minimum is like all we're asking for from some people. Like at least show that we're trying to get back on the horse. And certainly Canely's an ultimate competitor, and there was never a concern about him doing so. Let's talk stuff. Okay, we'll do that right after this. First, though, got to talk to y'all about our friends over at Open Phone. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. If you're thinking about the last time you maybe had a service emergency, like a bursted pipe or something like that, if the first plumber didn't answer when that happened, did you wait around? No, obviously you just called the next one. And that's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Did you juggle two phones to keep business and personal calls separate? Well, Open Phone solved that instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. There's no more, who's handling this or who's handling that. And the AI agent handles after hours calls, common questions, and captures leads, so I never miss a customer again. Open Phone is offering Locked On Tigers listeners 20% off of your first 6 months at openphone.com/lockedonmlb. That's openphone.com/lockedonmlb. And if you have an existing number with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, let's talk stuff. Something I found amusing in this ball game was just that the broadcast was really talking about Ke'Bryan Hayes a lot. And like, I don't think it means anything. I'm not here to be like, oh, tinfoil hat on. You're like, does that? It's just like he has been rumored to be, somebody that the Tigers maybe have like kicked the tires on, or have called about or showed interest in. And so it was just funny that the broadcast really kind of went like above and beyond, we'll say, in that department, and just was kind of like, oh, like Brian Hayes, really good defender. Like, is he going to hit? Whatever. In terms of that rumor, like I think Bednar, that like he's going to get dealt, and there's going to be a high market for him, and obviously the Tigers would love to get him. Like Skenes, that's not happening. We've talked about that before on this show. It's not happening. Ke'Bryan Hayes, I haven't really talked about because I don't think that the Tigers are like seriously considering that. And maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe on August 1st, I'm going to hop in front of this camera and talk about how Ke'Bryan Hayes is a Tiger. But he is an elite defender. Truly one of the best defensive third basemen, honestly, like of this generation. Like he is unbelievable there. Grades out consistently as one of, if not the best defensive third baseman in baseball every year. He's going on 2 straight seasons of an OPS in the 500s. It was in the 570s last year. It is again this year. No more power. Yeah. Like I just, he also, it's not like, but he draws walks or like does things that the Tigers like in hitters. No, he doesn't do that. He doesn't draw walks. He doesn't hit the ball hard. He's just not a very good, productive major league hitter. And he's still youngish. Like, if the Tigers think that maybe they see something that they can fix, maybe they're, like, hey, we'll give you next to nothing for him. But like, I really, again, if the rumors pick up or whatnot, if they get more serious, we'll talk about it again as we get closer to the deadline. I really don't think that. I don't think the Tigers are going to make a trade to make their offense worse this deadline. That seems counterintuitive. Big news on Monday is that Troy Melton is going to get called up later in the week and will start the series finale against the Pirates on Wednesday. That is absolutely awesome. I am so excited for him, obviously for him and his family. Like, just getting the call up is always a really cool moment, but I am so pumped as a someone who covers the Tigers and just as a fan of the Tigers organization, because this dude has really good stuff. And I think the question immediately, well, let's talk about his stuff first. Okay, let's ADHD here. Let's talk about what he's going to offer on the mound first, and then we'll kind of talk about the long-term implications of this call-up maybe. But the reason why I'm so excited about him, for nothing else, is that he just has high velo. And like, for an organization that has proven that they are taking massive strides in the right direction in terms of pitching development, and we talk about Feder and London Nieves and all the time and whatnot, like they have clearly taken massive strides in that department over the last 3 or 4 years. They also just don't have anyone that throws hard outside of like Skubal. And like, I guess you can count Will Vest, kinda, right? Like, he, that's an upper 90s fastball for sure. But like, they don't, like, it feels like the Rockies have guys that throw 101. Like, I just feel like everybody, these guys are like growing on trees. The Tigers don't have any of them. Troy Melton is one of those guys. This is, you're talking, throughout a start, 96, 97, and can top out legitimately at 100. Has a cutter, has a slider, both really good swing and miss pitches in the minor leagues. Those 3 pitches together from a righty are so fun because you can kind of just really make the hitter play a guessing game the entire outing. Is this a fastball that goes straight and is 100? Is it a cutter that moves a little bit? Is it a slider that moves a lot of bit, all in the same direction? So, a top 10 prospect, ranked a top 10 prospect in the organization for a reason. I'm super excited. And I still, when I talked about him earlier, we were talking about calling him up in like June, like early June. But when we were talking about that on this show, it was in the context of being bullpen help, right? He's going to make a start. Now, he doesn't usually go super deep into ball games, so I don't know. Maybe that just means, he'll go out there and throw 4 or 5, if he's a low pitch count, maybe 6 innings. Then he'll hand it over to the bullpen. I don't know if it's more of like an opener situation. I have zero clue, and I think that's what the Tigers want. I will say that I think long-term, I still probably think he ends up being a reliever, but that's A, not an insult. Everybody always takes it as one. B, where the Tigers rotation is at right now, this is what I was going to say earlier. You have to see if he can stick in the rotation. A, he just has good stuff, and you just want good stuff to stick. I said the same thing about Reese Olson when he got called up, and he has, slapped me in the face every 5th day for 3 years now and proving me wrong. But so I'm not saying, like, you have to try because the stuff is good, but also because the rotation is thin as ice. Is ice thin? Skubal, Mize, Olson, top 3. Great. Outside of that, Job out for the year. Montero, sure, if you need it. SGL, sure, if you need it. Flaherty, struggling mightily. Like, you have arms and you can fill a rotation, but no one outside of that top 3 is like a solidified, guaranteed producer. So go take it, right? Like, go throw out a top 10 prospect in your organization that can throw 100 miles an hour and see. He doesn't sit 100, by the way. This isn't like Job. I'm not trying to make it sound like anything he's not, but like genuinely, like this is a guy that I'm really excited about. And I think it's absolutely worth taking a look to see if he can stick in a rotation that needs production from the bottom half of it very badly, because right now it's not getting any. Okay. Javi, shoulder flare up on Sunday's game. Didn't play on Monday, obviously. Sounds like it's not serious. Everyone in the organization says they don't think it's that big of a deal, and he felt a lot better on Monday, so hopefully that's true. Game 2 before Melton is Casey Mize against Mitch Keller. That will be today as you listen to this. Evening game at PNC yet again. Like Keller's had a good year, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like Keller's had a pretty solid season. Now he's not gonna win a Cy Young award or anything. That goes to somebody else on his team, but just a professional veteran that is going to not walk a lot of guys and is going to keep the ball on the ground. A lot of ground balls, not a lot of walks, constantly in the strike zone. Now he doesn't get swing and miss. Hopefully that's true for the Tigers on Tuesday. Put the ball in play. Let's make something happen. Let's just score some runs. Please. Hopefully Mize can have a bounce back outing as well. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. And we will, of course, be back tomorrow recapping game 2 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.